Hello?
What a fantastic montage that was. Thanks very much, guys, from Fright Club. Good evening. And you're very welcome to this very special edition, the Big Nerd Horror Quiz, in association with Fright Club NI. So as long as humans has ever been telling stories. We've always been trying to scare the bejesus out of each other. And cinema, with its ever-evolving arsenal of special effects, is the perfect medium for ramping up the thrills and chills even more. From Carpenter to Romero, from Craven to Cronenberg to Hitchcock to Argento, we shall be traversing the sinister selection of questions to test even the most ardent of horror fans out there. 8 rounds covering the best that the genre has to offer, from monster classics to terrifying cinema from beyond the Hollywood system. Let's hope you don't lose any sleep tonight as we play the Big Nerd Horror Quiz. If this is your first time, then you're very welcome. If you know what to do, get ready. But if this is your first time, then you're very welcome to the Big Nerd Horror Quiz. It's a very simple way to play. You can play by good old-fashioned pen and paper, or use the Google form in the links below, where you'll have a multitude of options. You can play as a team or individually. It's totally up to yourself. Simply open the Google link in the YouTube description, enter your email address, and answer the multiple choice questions as they are asked. There's 8 rounds with 6 questions each, and there's only one correct answer per question. Once the quiz is finished, simply hit submit, and your scores will appear at the very end at the in the form. However, stick about until you find out the answers for tonight's quiz. It's recommended you stream the quiz on a laptop or television, or play it using the Google form on your phone or other device. Good luck and have some fun. If you want to shout out at any point tonight, get in touch via all the different social media channels there. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. If you want to shout out at any point, do get in touch via either Instagram or Facebook or the Twitter handle there. I'll try my best to get you a shout out at some point in tonight's proceedings. Don't forget, use the hashtag BigNerdPubQuiz. Let me know where you're playing. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget that the Big Nerd Pub Quiz is for hire. Landed my first corporate gig there. But it's a perfect activity for social distancing. Fully customizable with questions and graphics. Very affordable and easy to set up. If you want more information, do give me an email at bignerdpubquiz@gmail.com. You can replay any of the specialist quizzes that we've been doing over the last 3 months on the YouTube channel. And as we've had a bit of a change of scheduling, the general knowledge quiz will now be on every Sunday night. The final kids quiz will be on tomorrow at 2. I'm going to stop doing the kids quizzes due to, falling numbers of kids just not being interested, I guess. But we're going to put up questions on the Facebook and Instagram for kids to play. But just given the time and effort it goes into putting in a live performance for, it's just I can't commit to it anymore. However, we're still keeping the speciality quizzes coming up. This is the Big Nerd Pokemon quiz coming up on Thursday the 2nd of July at 8 p.m. And we've got a brand new lineup for July there. Like I said, this is going to be the last Monday quiz. We're shifting the specialty quizzes to Tuesday and Thursdays from now on. So Pokemon, we've got a TV quiz next week. A Lord of the Rings quiz coming up. Sci-fi, Doctor Who, a games quiz, wrestling quiz, a second music quiz, and another Star Trek quiz for all you Trekkies out there. Don't forget, you can support the Big Nerd Pub Quiz by buying the merchandise exclusively from Northern Iron Tees. Use the code BIGQUIZ for a 10% discount. And don't forget to donate to the Patreon or PayPal. Like I said, the quiz is always free to play. However, you can support the work that goes into making it by donating as little as £1 to the PayPal or become a Patreon. Massive thank you to everyone out there who has supported us and supported me and supported the quiz. A massive thank you to the Fright Club who have put on this fantastic quiz. Huge kudos to horror aficionado Gavin Logan, who's put together a superb quiz. And like I said, this is a really tough one. This is one for real horror fans out there. Like I said, I studied horror when I was in film school, and it was one of those things I absolutely loved. It was one of my favorite subjects. And like I said, cinema, it was always the genre that was pushing the boundaries of cinema no matter what was happening. So it was always one of those revolutionary genres, and one of the most often underlooked and underappreciated. However, I know if you're here playing tonight that you love a good fright. Anyway, so here we go. Here's our first round of the Big Nerd Horror Quiz in association with Fright Club. Big thanks again to Gavin and Logan for all of these questions, and the guys up at the Braid Theatre in Ballymena. As soon as this lockdown ends, I know they're going to put on some amazing horror movie events for you guys. So here we go. Round one is all going to be about general knowledge. And we'll kick off with our first question. So round one, question one. Hellraiser is a 1987 horror film directed by Clive Barker and based on his own novella. But what is the name of the novella? So that's round one, question one. I was living in London and there was a thing on a bus out the Old Kent Road at Elephant and Castle that people were weirdly leaving VHS copies of Hellraiser on top of a bus stop. And it became a thing. Every time you passed this bus stop, there'd be multiple copies of Hellraiser. Why? Nobody knows. But it became a thing on Reddit and Twitter. People just noticing this. But yes, Hellraiser, the 87 horror film directed by Clive Barker and based on his own novella. What was the name of the book? It's round one, question one. Round one, question two. In Dario Argento's Phenomena, what kind of animals can Jennifer Connelly's character communicate with? You've got four or five different options in your answer sheet. Like I said, I've tested the answer sheet. It all seems to work. Dario Argento, famous Italian director. So round one, question two. In Dario Argento's Phenomena, what kind of animals can Jennifer Connelly's character communicate with? It was actually fascinating to actually watch the remake of Suspiria there. Tom York doing the soundtrack. Really well realised film. Round one, question three. Many of you will be familiar with Tony Todd here from the Candyman movies. He's a big feature on the convention circuit, but I'm looking for the name of the housing project that features heavily in the original Candyman film from 1992. How many of you actually dared to say his name 3 times in the mirror? I wonder. As a kid. I would never try it. Round one, question three. So what's the name of the housing project that features heavily in the original Candyman film from 1992? Round one, question four. At the beginning of The Exorcist, which country is Father Merrin visiting to take part in an archaeological dig? Max von Sydow in the role. One of the most influential horror movies of all time. Mark Kermode's favourite film. I did notice the cut. I did notice the scare from The Exorcist 3 in the montage. I have to say, fantastic montage at the beginning there. That was made by the guys at Fright Club. That was sent over to me and absolutely loved it. Might have a few copyright issues with it, but it's only under 40 seconds. Should be grand. So at the beginning of The Exorcist, which country is Father Merrin visiting to take part in an archaeological dig? Round one, question five. Which Steven Spielberg produced film shares the same title as the original working title of the Don Mancini scripted Child's Play? This weekend I actually learned that Brad Dourif, as you would have known him from Alien Resurrection, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Lord of the Rings, actually provided the voice of Chucky. But round one, question five. Which Steven Spielberg produced film shares the same title as the original working title of the Don Mancini scripted Child's Play? And your final general knowledge horror film question of this evening. What is the name of Heather Langenkamp's son in Wes Craven's New Nightmare? So round 1, question 6. What is the name of Heather Langenkamp's son in Wes Craven's New Nightmare? That's your final question there for the first round. And as always, we go over the questions once more, like we do at the end of every round. So Hellraiser, the 87 horror movie directed by Clive Barker, based on his own novella. But what's the name of that novella? Dario Argento's Phenomena. What kind of animals can Jennifer Connelly's character communicate with? 3. What is the name of the housing project that features heavily in the original Candyman film from 1992? 4. At the beginning of The Exorcist, which country is Father Merrin visiting to take part in an archaeological dig? 5. Which Steven Spielberg produced film shares the same title as the original working title of the Don Mancini scripted Child's Play? And 6. What is the name of Heather Langenkamp's son in Wes Craven's New Nightmare? Alright, 6 questions to get the old grey matter going there. Hope you're enjoying it. So 1 down, 7 to go. Don't forget to follow the social media channels here. If you want to shout out at any point, do give us a message on Facebook or Instagram. I've already got my phone lighting up here with a couple of people who are tuning in and looking for shout outs. So yes, now we're moving on to the next round. And what horror movie quiz would be without slashers? So yes, your bread and butter of horror rose to popularity in the 1980s, of course. But yes, let's revisit the slasher genre. And who better to start off? Scream. 1996, Scream. What tasty snack is Drew Barrymore's character, Casey Becker, making when she receives her phone call in the opening sequence? Kind of a bold move, actually, to have quite a well-known actress, quite like Vivian Leigh in Psycho. Just kind of just bump her off really early on. But in 1996, slasher Scream. What tasty snack is Drew Barrymore's character Casey Becker making when she receives her phone call in the opening sequence? Round 2, question 1. Round 2, question 2. In the 1981 slasher The Burning, how many years later does the killer return to seek his revenge on the kids that burnt him at the beginning of the movie? So round 2, question 2. In the 81 slasher The Burning, how many years later does the killer return to seek his revenge on the kids that burnt him at the beginning of the movie? It's round 2, question 2. Round 2, question 3. In John Carpenter's Halloween, what is young Michael Myers dressed up at the start of the movie when he makes his first kill? We all know the fact, if you don't already, the Mike Myers mask is actually just, it's a turned out, inside out William Shatner mask. Just painted white. That's what that is. So yes, in Carpenter's Halloween, what is the young Michael Myers dressed up at the start of the movie when he makes his first kill? Round 2, question 3. Round 2, question number 4. The Camp Crystal Lake scenes in the original Friday the 13th were filmed at the real-life summer camp called Camp No Bay Bosco. But which U.S. state is this summer camp located? So, round 2, question 4. The Camp Crystal Lake scenes in the original Friday the 13th were filmed at a real-life summer camp called Camp No Bay Bosco. But which US state is this camp located? Round 2, question 5. So Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho was remade by Gus Van Sant in 1998, who played the part of Norman Bates in this remake. It was odd in that it was a shot-for-shot remake. It wasn't like it was like an original take on the movie or anything like that. It was just they went out and they literally remade the movie shot for shot, even in color, with just new actors. It wasn't any, which was considered a bit odd. So round 2, question 5. So Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho was remade by director Gus Van Sant in 1998, who played the part of Norman Bates in the remake. And your final slasher question, round 2, question 6. I Know What You Did Last Summer in 1997. Teen slasher film starring Sarah Michelle Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt. So what is the killer's weapon of choice? So round 2, question 6. It's actually looking there. There's a film coming out. It's like a slasher parody about these kids, and they get sucked into the movie, and they actually have to live out the movie. And they think the character in it, one of the characters in it, her mom was one of the victims. But that's coming out pretty soon, actually, or I think it might have been delayed because of Corona. But round 2, question 6. I Know What You Did Last Summer, 97 teen slasher. Sarah Michelle Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt. What is the killer's weapon of choice? So there's your roundup there of slasher movies. So quickly go over them again. What tasty snack is Drew Barrymore's character making when she receives her phone call at the beginning of Scream? 2. The 81 slasher The Burning. How many years later does the killer return to seek his revenge on the kids who burned him at the beginning of the movie? 3. In Halloween, what is young Mike Myers dressed up as at the start of the film when he makes his first kill? 4. Camp Crystal Lake scenes in the original Friday the 13th were filmed at the real-life summer camp, but which US state is that camp located? The remake of Psycho, who played Norman Bates there, number 5 in the 1998 version. And what is the killer's weapon of choice in the movie What I Know What You Did Last Summer? Alright, we're just going to keep firing away at this quiz. Yes, I hope you're all enjoying it. I hope you're finding it not too difficult. Like I said, it's one of those things when I get quiz submissions, I always like to see how I would do, and I have to say it was challenging but enjoyable, and that's just from me. But yes, thanks very much to Gavin and the guys there at Fight Club for putting this on again. It's really, really cool, and I really, really do appreciate all the effort and the time that went into it, especially the opening montage, which I loved. Yes. Anyway, so here we go. Round 3. And sure, what other horror movie quiz wouldn't be complete without monsters? So yes, classic monsters here on the Big Nerd Horror Quiz. 6 questions, all about some cinematic favourites, some old, some new. So here we go, round 3, question number 1. So part of the original set built specifically for the 1923 silent version of The Hunchback of Notre Dame still remained on the Universal backlot and was used in which classic monster movie? So round 3, question 1. You find that a lot in the Hammer horror movies. They would just reuse locations, like, particular castles and everything. They would always show up over and over again because, close to the studio, really. But a part of the original film set used in the 1923 silent version of The Hunchback of Notre Dame still remained on the Universal backlot and was reused in which other classic monster movie? Round 3, question 2. What was the name of Guillermo del Toro's Oscar-winning film, hugely inspired by the creature from the Black Lagoon? I've actually met the actor who played that particular creature in Guillermo del Toro's film. He is it's Doug Jones, big tall guy. I met him at a Star Trek convention there recently, and I have to say he is the loveliest human being. I was one of the first in the queues to get his autograph, and he actually just, afterwards, he just gave me a hug. And I was like, can you give us a hug? And I was like, oh, that's really nice. He's a lovely, lovely guy. It was lovely to meet him too. Very, very tall, very, very, and again, a feature of many of those Guillermo del Toro films. But I'm looking for the name of the Guillermo del Toro's Oscar-winning film, hugely inspired by the creature from the Black Lagoon. Moving on, round 3, question 3. To achieve the on-screen invisibility effect in The Invisible Man, director James Whale had actor Claude Rains dressed from head to toe in what material? So round 3, question 3. To achieve the on-screen invisibility effect, The Invisible Man director James Whale had actor Claude Rains dressed from head to foot in what material? That's round 3, question 3. Moving on. There's himself. Bella. But round 3, question 4. What famous piece of classical music is used in the opening sequence of Todd Browning's Dracula? The tragic life of the Hungarian actor Bela Lugosi, very sadly portrayed, but very wonderfully portrayed on screen by Martin Landau in the movie Ed Wood, which is worth seeing. And its last feature film appearance was the god-awful Plan 9 from Outer Space, which I've only actually seen with the live riff tracks guys in the Prince Charles in London. I've actually only sat through it once because it's just really unwatchable, but I did sit through it with the guys from Riff Tracks doing it live. But I'm looking for the famous piece of classical music used in the opening sequence of Todd Browning's Dracula. Round 3, question 5. Name the famous makeup artist who created the design and makeup application for Boris Karloff's monster in Frankenstein. Yes, the Universal horror movie monsters are some of the most iconic, if not the most iconic in cinema. And yes, this guy created looks which are just ubiquitous when we think of these various movie monsters. But I'm looking for the name of that makeup artist who created the design and makeup application for Boris Karloff's monster in Frankenstein. Round 3, question 6, our final one of our classic movie monsters. What is the name of the leader of the British expedition who finds Imhotep's tomb in The Mummy? Again, another Karloff film. But I'm looking for the name of the leader of the British expedition who finds Imhotep's tomb in The Mummy. Yes, The Mummy remade there in the late 90s with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. It's a lot of fun. But this is the original classic from the 30s. Round 3, question 6. And there's your roundup of movie monster questions there. So go through them one more time. Part of the original set, built specifically for the 1923 silent film of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, still remained at the Universal backlot and was used in which classic monster movie? 2. What was the name of Guillermo del Toro's Oscar-winning film, hugely inspired by the creature from the Black Lagoon? To achieve the on-screen invisibility effect, The Invisible Man director James Whale had to hire Claude Rains to dress from head to foot in what materials? Number 3. 4. The famous piece of classical music used at the opening of Todd Browning's Dracula. 5. The name of the famous makeup artist who created the design and makeup application for Boris Karloff's monster in Frankenstein. And number 6. What was the name of the leader of the British expedition who finds Imhotep in The Mummy? Yes, fascinating connection there with Dublin and Dracula. Of course, we can't forget that Bram Stoker himself was a Dublin native and an alumni of Trinity College. We have one of the rooms in our old university's GMB Graduate Memorial Building is named the Bram Stoker. So there you are. So thank you very much for joining the Big Nerd Horror Quiz in association with Fright Club. Do check out their Twitter feed and all their different events that are coming up on there. They have watch-alongs and they have a podcast coming up. And yes, but they've been fantastic in putting this quiz together. And I'm really, really indebted to them because, like I said, it's a real horror movie aficionado horror quiz, and I have to say it's really, really, really good. So I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am as well. So anyway, moving on to tonight's, we're going to do some shout outs at the halfway point. So don't worry if you've emailed me or messaged me throughout the quiz. Also, I'm sure you've worked out by now what the shirt's all about, right? Anyway, so here we go, round 4. And we're going from the big screen to the small screen here with horror television. Yes, 6 questions about our favourite horror movies on the wee screen. So here we go, waste no time and head on to round 4. Question number 1. How many seasons of American Horror Story have there been so far? So round 4, question 1. How many seasons of American Horror Story have there been so far? Round 4, question 1. Round 4, question 2. I've had many requests to do a Buffy quiz. If anyone out there feels they want to write one, by all means. But in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show, Joss Whedon, a ventriloquist's doll turns up in Sunnydale trying to track down a demon. But what is the doll's name? So round 4, question 2. In Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a ventriloquist's doll turns up in Sunnydale trying to track down a demon. But what is the doll's name? Round 4, question 3. Game of Thrones star Natalie Dormer stars in City of Angels, a recent spin-off of which well-known horror show? Currently on Sky, I think, isn't it? Round 4, question 3. Game of Thrones star Natalie Dormer stars in City of Angels, a recent spin-off of which well-known horror TV show? Round 4, question 4. Who could forget this? But this will require some knowledge of this here. But what month and year did Chris Carter's The X-Files first appear on air in the US? Get rid of those vampires there. Yeah, there we are. The X-Files. Mulder and Scully. Round 4, question 4. Was also a big fan of Millennium as well, with Lance Henriksen. Thought that was a pretty cool show as well. Also from Chris Carter. But round 4, question 4. In what month and year did the first X-Files episode air in the US? Round 4, question 5. And another fantastic series. Season 1 of Stranger Things. Joyce surprises her son Will with tickets to see which horror movie? Again, if you're a horror movie aficionado, especially movies of the 80s, there's tons of nods and winks and just straight out Easter eggs there of different horror films in Stranger Things. One could argue it's a cross between The Goonies, E.T., loads of other films, Alien. Yeah, just the list's countless. It's fantastic. Round 4, question 5. Season 1 of Stranger Things. Joyce surprises her son Will with tickets to see which horror movie? I actually have to say I liked the last season. I thought the last season was better than the second one. I really enjoyed it. Round 4, question 6. Another one that's been going on for quite a while. But in season 4 of The Walking Dead, which character utters the words, "Just look at the flowers," whilst pointing a gun at a victim? So in season 4 of The Walking Dead, which character utters the words, "Just look at the flowers," whilst pointing a gun at a victim? You've binge watched too much Walking Dead, you start getting zombie nightmares. I had to stop watching it. It's far too immersive. So anyway, round 4 is done. Let's have a quick roundup here. So how many seasons of American Horror Story have there been? 2. The ventriloquist doll in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. What's its name? 3. What is the name of the spin-off of the show City of Angels? 4. In which month and year did the X-Files first appear in the US? 5. Season 1 of Stranger Things, Joyce surprises her son with tickets to which horror film? And in The Walking Dead, which character utters the words, "Just look at the flowers," whilst pointing a gun at the victim? Alright, so we're halfway through. Like I said, it's just gone past 8:30 there this evening. We're halfway through the quiz, which means we are on schedule to finish before 9. And like I said before, we've got loads of shout outs to do. But before we do that, a couple of points of business. As always, check out my buddies' podcasts. Always love plugging my friends' cultural things here. So we've got the Stuck in Here With You podcast, which just passed 100 episodes of lockdown, which I think will be coming to an end pretty soon. Unless they're going to keep it going. I don't know how, though. It's on Spotify, Podbean, and Apple Podcasts. Also check out on Mixcloud, my buddies, Hot Topic Nightmare. This week they'll be discussing puppets and Eurovision, especially looking at the new Will Ferrell Eurovision film. Also check out Banterflex movie reviews. Their lockdown features are coming to an end. And of course, the Fright Club guys, can't forget about them. Check out their Twitter feed, and they're also on Instagram as well. All the links are on my social medias as well, but do check them out. I'm really, really hoping. You know what? Once it's all over, I think we should all go for a pint. Belfast would be pretty handy for all of us, I think. But yeah, I think we should all definitely go for a wee drink at some point once this is all done. Big thanks to the Fright Club and Banterflex, of course, for Disney Quiz and the movie quiz. Also, big hello to Nerd Party, a curation of podcasts there for all different sorts of nerdy and niche genre films and TV shows. Do check that out. Also, check out my awesome radio show. I'm doing a radio show on Zest FM every morning till 10 o'clock in the morning on zestfm.co.uk. We're actually giving away a retro games console, so do check that out if you want to be in for a chance to win a retro games console chock full of games. And don't forget, you can support the Big Nerd Pub Quiz by buying some t-shirts and hoodies. And donate to the Patreon and PayPal. Like I said before, quiz is always free to play, but it's based on a model of soundness. And like I said, if you feel the quiz is worth giving the money, like the cost of a pint or a cup of coffee, by all means, donate to the PayPal and the Patreon. You've been so fantastic over the last couple of weeks. Like I said, actually, one of the things is I actually bought this shirt specifically for tonight. I was just thinking I need something to wear, and then I found this, and I found it on Etsy, and I was like, yeah, I have to have it. Anyway, a couple of shout outs for this evening before we move on to the rest of the quiz. Alex, Mark, and Aaron are freaking out over the horror quiz tonight, and that's from Mark Piccolo there. Good to hear from you, buddy. Shout out to Curran, Chris Curran, watching in Derry. He's a massive horror fan. Good to hear from you, buddy. Also, Michelle Hannah is there. She said to me, "Can you tell my husband Graham that I hope he sleeps well tonight after the creepy opening to the quiz?" And like I said, it actually the first time I watched them, that phone, it's like, it really makes you jump. Anyway, thanks for that there. And Jess Clark's actually texted in, and she says the slasher you were talking about is called The Final Girls, and it came out like 4 years ago. I think I only saw the trailer for it last year and assumed it was coming out. I'll have to check it out. Anyway, thanks for giving me a heads up on that there. Anyway, keep your shout outs and all coming in on the social media channels there, and I'll hopefully at some point be able to give you a bit of a shout out. I think a few came in on Instagram, but I'll save them for later. Alright, so we're halfway through the quiz. Let's fire on to the next round, and we've decided to go beyond the Hollywood system for this one, and we're looking at world cinema. Some of the finest horror movies out there coming from the likes of Japan, Australia, Spain, Italy, France, even the UK. Producing some absolute cracking thrillers out there. But yes, we're looking at 6 questions based on cinema from around the globe. So here we go. Round 5, question number 1. So, what year does the prologue scene take place in the opening of Lucio Fulci's The Beyond? In case you're wondering what The Beyond is, it's basically an Italian movie, but it's an Italian film that was set in America, but it's about, well, part of it's set in America. But it's basically about a big portal to hell opening up. Doesn't get more damned than that. But anyway, Do check it out. It's fantastic. 1981, I believe. But what year? That's not the answer, by the way. But what year does the prologue scene take place in the opening of Lucio Fulci's The Beyond? Round 5, question 2. So which European director made a US remake of his own film, starring Naomi Watts and Tim Roth 10 years after its initial release in his native country? So round 5, question 2. Just out of interest, if anyone out there thinks that... I know it's a common thing to say that they prefer the original over an Americanized or Hollywood remake, but is there anyone out there that believes the converse, that the Hollywood version is actually better than the original version? Just food for thought. Just gonna throw it out there. Wreck. Oh no, not Wreck. Sorry, The Ring. I actually think The Ring, the American version, is actually it's a better paced than the Japanese one. That's just my opinion. Anyway, round 5, question 3. Which original Japanese horror film set a new record for audience walkouts during its European premiere at the Rotterdam Film Festival in 2000? But what original Japanese horror film set a new record for audience walkouts during its European premiere at the Rotterdam Film Festival in 2000? Have I given away the answer there? No, I don't know. Maybe not. Speaking about Japanese horror. But yes, round 5, question 3. It's up to you to work that one out. Stick about to find out. Round 5, question 4. Which 2010 Norwegian found footage mockumentary was written and directed by Andre Overdal? Overdal? Is that what the emphasis you place on the O there? Saw this film in when it came out in the cinema in the Prince Charles in London. Genuinely thought it was hilarious. Also terrifying, but very, very, very funny. If you haven't seen it, do check it out. 2010 Norwegian found footage mockumentary was written and directed by Andre Overdal. That's round 5, question 4. Round 5, question 5. Spanish-born director and writer J.A. Bayona made his first English-speaking film in 2012 with The Impossible. But what was the name of the ghost story he directed 5 years prior that garnered worldwide critical acclaim? Actually, looking up my DVD collection, I have it in there. Yes. You've got 5 options there on your Google Sheet. Round 5, question 5. So Spanish-born writer-director J.A. Bayona made his first English-speaking film in 2012 with The Impossible. What was the name of the ghost story he directed 5 years prior to that, which garnered worldwide critical acclaim? And your final world cinema question there. So we all know Parasite, that recently came the first South Korean film to win an Academy Award earlier this year. But back in 2006, Bong Joon-ho directed The Host, about a huge monster that surfaces and attacks civilians from which river in Seoul? It's a bit of a geography question, this. If you know your Korean geography, you'll be able to get this one right. Round 5, question 6. Parasite recently became the first South Korean film to win an Oscar. But its director, Bong Joon-ho, directed The Host, about a huge monster that surfaces and attacks civilians from which river in Seoul in South Korea? And there's your wrap up there. So the year the prologue scene takes place in the opening of Fulci's The Beyond, number 1. Number 2, which European director made a US remake version of his own film starring Naomi Watts and Tim Roth 10 years after its initial release in his native country. 3, what original Japanese horror film set a new record for audience walkouts during its European premiere at the Rotterdam Film Festival in 2000. 4, which 2010 Norwegian found footage mockumentary was written and directed by Andre Overdal. 5, Spanish-born writer-director J.A. Bayona made his first English-speaking film in 2012 with The Impossible. What was the name of the ghost story he directed 5 years prior? And 6, I'm looking for the name of the river which the huge monster surfaces and attacks people from in Seoul in the film Host. Alright, so that's your round 5 wrap up done. So 3 more rounds to go here tonight. We've got round 6, and I think if anything has been leading to a clue about what round 6 is all going to be about, well, surprise, surprise, it's all going to be about horror maestro himself, Mr. Stephen King. Alright, so here we go. Stephen King round. 6 questions all about him. Let's see how much you know about himself. Anyway, round 6, question 1. In Mike Flanagan's 2017 adaptation of Gerald's Game, what does Carla Gugino's character spend most of the film handcuffed to? So round 6, question 1. Mike Flanagan's 2017 adaptation of Gerald's Game, what does Carla Gugino's character spend most of the film handcuffed to? Round 6, question 2. In Pet Sematary, which former world leader is the family cat named after? Recent remake of that particular film there. Round 6, question 2. So in Pet Sematary, which former world leader is the family cat named after? Round 6, question 3. My favorite horror movie of all time. Well, one of them is up there. Well, The Wicker Man, the original Wicker Man, and this. But upon its release in 1980, Stephen King famously disowned Stanley Kubrick's adaptation of The Shining. But what does Jack Torrance find in room 237? It's one of those numbers that crops up as a kind of nod to this particular thing in loads of different movies preceding The Shining. And I would go as far as saying again that this is one of the rare instances where the film's actually better than the book. The film actually leaves more questions, and I actually think that's actually a much better thing. Round 6, question 3. And also, if you have seen, do check out the weird but wonderfully obsessive documentary Room 237. It's all about The Shining and the ins and outs of it, and the kind of weird conspiracy theories that, you know, it's basically Kubrick saying he faked the moon landing or something like that. It's bizarre. Anyway, what I'm saying here, upon its release in 1980, what does Jack Torrance find in room 237? Round 6, question 4. Stephen King wrote the screenplay for the legendary anthology horror show Creepshow, but who directed it? So round 6, question 4. Stephen King wrote the screenplay for the legendary anthology horror show Creepshow, but who directed it? Round 6, question 5. Short story The Body appears in the Different Seasons collection and would be adapted to the screen by Rob Reiner in 1986 under a different title. What was the film called? I can tell you the other books in that collection. One's Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. And the other one, I think, in that collection is Apt Pupil. All adapted into movies. The famous Frank Darabont film in 1994 with Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. Apt Pupil with Ian McKellen. But The Body. Which film was that? The adaptation of? Round 6, question 5. And we're moving on to round 6, question 6. On which street is the Well House, the old haunted house where Pennywise resides, located in It? I remember as a kid being absolutely terrified of the Tim Curry version. But my cousins, who were big horror fans and exposing me to a lot of this torment and terror as I was growing up, never referred to him as Pennywise. They always referred to him as It the Clown. So for years I just thought it was the clown was called It. Anyway, round 6, question 6. I'm looking for which street is the Well House, the old haunted house where Pennywise resides, located in It. So here's your roundup there. Your round 6 questions. In Mike Flanagan's 2017 adaptation of Jarl's Game, what does Carla Gugino's character spend most of the film handcuffed to? 2. Pet Sematary, which former world leader is the family cat named after? 3. Upon its release in 1980, Stephen King famously disowned Kubrick's adaptation, but what does Jack Torrance find in room 237 in The Shining? 4. Stephen King wrote the screenplay for the legendary anthology show Creepshow, but who directed it? 5. The short story The Body appears in the short story collections, but what was the adaptation? What was the film adaptation of that called, directed by Rob Reiner in 86? And finally, number 6. In which street is the Well House, an old house where Pennywise resides, located in It? Interesting fun fact: the name of the guy who's the he's like not the manager of The Shining, of the hotel, the Overlook Hotel, but you know, like he's kind of he's played by a guy called Scatman Crothers, who actually did the voice for Hong Kong Phooey. Like, I love that connection. Every time I watch Hong Kong Phooey, it's like, yeah, that's the guy, that's the dude from The Shining, yeah. He's like, dog, you got The Shining. Like, you know. Anyway, so he tells Danny not to go in. Anyway, thanks very much for joining Big Nerd Horror Quiz in association with Fright Club. Don't forget to get in touch with all the different social media channels here. You've seen the lineup for the rest of the month. It's quite tight, but if you've got any more suggestions for quizzes or rounds, do let me know. I have a TV quiz coming up. I have a sci-fi quiz coming up. So if any ideas you want to input for those, do get in touch via all the different social media channels and let me know what you think. And don't forget, you can replay any of the quizzes, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and replay any of the quizzes that we've done before. This one has been long coming. Like, I know Gav has been really, really chomping at the bit to get this one, and I'm really happy that we got it done today. And I know it's, what is it? We've only a couple of more months to Halloween. My favorite time. Anyway, that's it from now. We're moving on to round 7. Round 7. Horror movie quotes. So very simply, 6 horror movie quotes from very famous movies. All you have to do is guess the movie. Straightforward as that. Okay, so here we go. Round 7, question 1. I'll try to do them in the most neutral voice I can without giving them away. The devil exists. God exists. And for us as people, our very destiny hinges upon which one we elect to follow. So which movie does that very sinister quote come from? Round 7, question number 1. So the devil exists, God exists, and for us as people, our very destiny hinges upon which one we elect to follow. That's round 7, question number 1. Fire through these. So round 7, question 2. It's not the house that's haunted, it's your son. So round 7, question 2. It's not the house that's haunted, it's your son. Round 7, question 3. We're going to get you, not another peep, time to go to sleep. I'm a huge fan of that film, by the way. I'm just throwing it out there. I think I have them on DVD up here somewhere. Yep. Round 7, question 3. We're going to get you, not another peep, time to go to sleep. Round 7, question 3. Round 7, question 4. When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. A quote from this particular film was actually on the poster as well. Okay, so round 7, question 4. When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. Another controversial opinion. Do you think the remake of this movie is actually superior? But then, same director, right? So, yeah. Anyway, round 7, question 4. Round 7, question 5. I will not be threatened by a walking meatloaf. Round 7, question 5. I will not be threatened by a walking meatloaf. That's your 5th one of the quotes. And your final quote this evening. Somebody in this camp ain't what he appears to be. Right now, that may be 1 or 2 of us. Okay? I think the clue in this one is to think what that could be. Couple of options. If you haven't seen the Pingu version of this, then you haven't lived. But yes, round 7, question 6. Somebody in this camp ain't what he appears to be right now. That may be one or two of us. And just a quick roundup there of those. Oh, I actually didn't put those ones in. Actually, we'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just go through them again one more time. So round 7, question 1. The devil exists. God exists. And for us as people, our very destiny hinges upon which one we elect to follow. 2. It's not the house that's haunted. It's your son. 3. We're going to get you. We're going to get you. Not another peep. Time to go to sleep. 4. When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. Round 7, question 5. It will not be threatened by walking meatloaf. And question 6. Somebody in this camp ain't what he appears to be right now. That may be one or two of us. Alright, so there we go. That's our movie quotes round. We're having a wee look. I'm having a wee look at the old Twitter feed here and see if there's anyone actually has messaged in. I do have a couple of quests here. Somebody's texted in saying, let's see. So they actually love Japanese horror movies as well. See Hair there. Shout out to Chris Curran and Derry. Yes, we've seen that too. Anybody else who's texted in? See, it's weird because I'm getting them all over different mediums here. I'll have a quick look at the old Twitter. But yes, but thanks very much for everyone who's been playing the quiz tonight. I hope you've all enjoyed it. It's whetted my appetite to go back through my DVD collection and start watching some of these amazing horror movies again. Chris Cooks texted in. He says a supernatural TV quiz show. But yeah, Kim Morrison said she's definitely smashed the Stephen King round so far, but do stick about to see how you did at the end. Linda Woods says, can you give me a shout out to me and my son playing along in Belfast? That's Linda and Adam Woods. Thanks so much. Love the quizzes. Thanks very much for playing. And yes, give a big shout out to my cinema buddy, Gina Bianco. Love your quiz. And that's from Chris Cook. Thanks, buddy. Oh yeah, ready to play along. Teresa Ray's tuned in tonight from Banterflex. Good to hear you guys. I know the Banterflex guys are totally watching this. And hi there. I have my 8-year-old beside me. He's not easily frightened, but should he be? I don't know. Anyway, I hope this quiz hasn't put you off your sleep anyway tonight. So, we're moving on to our final round. And like I said with our final round, as always, you will get your score at the very end once you submit your final answer. However, stick about till the very end for all the correct answers. So here we go, round 8. And we're finishing this off with vampires. Creatures of the night. Anyway, vampires. We couldn't do a horror quiz without the guys who basically horror it's all from, like, you know, vampires, the best characters. We could have done a zombie one, but I think vampires fantastic. Anyway, so round 8, question number 1, and very actually poignant given the fact that Joel Schumacher passed away last week. Like, this quiz was written quite a few weeks ago now, but still quite poignant that we've referenced this movie. Yes, the director of The Lost Boys here. But what colour of headband is Edgar Frog wearing when he and his brother first meet Sam in The Lost Boys? That's a cracking movie. I love The Lost Boys, man. Round 8, question 1. What colour of headband is Edgar Frog wearing when he and his brother first meet Sam in The Lost Boys? Round 8, question 2. So due to copyright issues with F.W. Murnau, he couldn't use the original names from Bram Stoker's Dracula in his 1922 adaptation of Nosferatu. But what name did he use for the character of Jonathan Harker? So yes, round 8, question 2. Due to copyright issues, F.W. Murnau couldn't use the original names of the Bram Stoker's Dracula in his 1922 adaptation Nosferatu. Bear in mind, the book had only come out in 1889, so yeah, but what name did he use for the character Jonathan Harker? If you've seen, do check out Shadow of the Vampire, starring John Malkovich as F.W. Murnau and William Dafoe as Max Schreck, who played the very, very chilling vampire there. Round 8, question 3. In the 1985 classic Fright Night, what does Charlie stab into Jerry Dangerous's hand during the confrontation scene in his bedroom? It's round 8, question 3. It's one I haven't seen, actually. This is 1985 classic Fright Night. What does Charlie stab into Jerry Dandridge's hand during the confrontation scene in his bedroom? Round 8, question 4. So what animal accompanies Salma Hayek when she is first introduced during her seductive dance in the bar scene from Dusk Till Dawn? Banterflex, guys, actually, we learned a little bit of an interesting fun fact. This was the first screenplay that Tarantino was paid to write. And he didn't get that much money for it, really. He only got a couple of grand for it. But yeah. Again, quite obvious that Tarantino has a bit of a foot fetish in this movie, because Salma Hayek does things with her feet and Tarantino's face, and it's just like, once upon a time in Hollywood, it's like, gosh, mate, come on, tone it down. Like, we get it. Johnny Trejo there as well. Love that guy. So, but anyway, what animal accompanies Salma Hayek when she's first introduced during her seductive dance in the bar scene from Dusk Till Dawn? Our penultimate question. Killing you would be easy. They'd rather terrify you forever. That was the tagline. For which 1980s vampire film? So killing you would be easy. They'd rather terrify you forever. And that was the tagline for which 1980s vampire film? This is the penultimate question. Don't worry, the next one is going to be the final one. Once you hit submit, you'll get your scores, but stick about for the correct answers. And here it is. Here's your final question of the Big Nerd Horror Quiz. Couldn't do without Blade. What was the name of the character in Blade 2? A member of the Blood Pack who was played by a former UK gladiator. Danny John Jules is in that. Cat from Red Dwarf. Oh, God, kick out. I actually, again, Blade 2, better than Blade 1? I'd say so. Blade Trinity, nah. But Snipes is boss in this movie. Round 8, question 6. What's the name of the character in Blade 2? A member of the Blood Pack who was played by former UK gladiator. Yep. That's it for now. That's it. We're running up our vampire questions here. So anyway, the colour of the headband Edward Frog is wearing when he and his brother first meet in Sam and the Lost Boys 2. What name did F.W. Murnau use for his character of Jonathan Harker in his version Nosferatu? Number 3, in the 85 classic Fright Night, what does Charlie stab into Jerry Dandridge's hand during the confrontation scene in his bedroom? 4. Which animal accompanies Salma Hayek when she is first introduced during her seductive dance in the bar scene from Dusk Till Dawn? 5. Killing you would be easy. They'd rather terrify you forever. And that was the tagline for which 1980s vampire film? And finally, number 6. What was the name of the character in Blade 2? A member of the Blood Pack who was played by a former UK gladiator. I have to say, guys, thank you so much for joining me for the Big Nerd Horror Quiz. And a big, huge thank you to Gavin for putting that one together. Gavin and the guys at Fight Club. It's such an entertaining quiz. And like I said, it's just a perfect amount of difficult and challenging. And I have to say, straight off the bat, like, really, really enjoyed putting it together, helping you put it together and presenting it. Absolute honor for me to do that. And I have to say, as a horror aficionado myself, yeah, ticked every box, and we covered. I think it was there was very few movies I was like, oh, we should have done that. We should have. No, it was great. But like horror, like any other topic, is absolutely huge and vast. We may do a second one at some point in the near future. So do stick about and check out all the different social media channels and keep your suggestions coming for other quizzes. I love hearing them. Love hearing from you. Let me know how you got on as well. Use the hashtag BigNerdPubQuiz to let me know how you got on. I love seeing. Did you find it too easy? Did you find it too hard? Do let me know. All the same. Okay, so here we go. Here is our answers for tonight's Big Nerd Horror Quiz. And then I'm off for a nice beer and pizza on this Monday night. And bear in mind, this is the last ever Monday night quiz. So here we go. Round 1. Question 1. So, the original novella was The Hellbound Heart, written by Clive Barker. Insects are the animals that Jennifer Connelly's character can communicate in Dario Argento's Phenomena. Cabrini Green is the name of the housing project which features in The Candyman. Iraq is where the opening of The Exorcist happens, prior to Marin visiting. Batteries Not Included is the first Steven Spielberg produced movie that shares the same the original working title of a Don Mancini's scripted Child's Play. And finally, Dylan is the name of Heather Langenkamp's son in Wes Craven's Nightmare. Okay, at the start of Scream, we see Drew Barrymore making popcorn. At number 2, it's 5 years later when the killer seeks for his revenge at the end of the movie. 3, John Carpenter's Halloween. He's dressed up as a clown when he makes his first murder. 4, Camp Crystal Lake is actually located. The real one is actually located in New Jersey. Vince Vaughn plays Norman Bates in the 98 remake of Psycho. And Norman Bates. And the killer in I Know What You Did Last Summer loves to use a fishing hook. Oh, that's nice. Anyway, 3, the classic monsters. The Wolfman was the reused classic set that was on Hunchback of Notre Dame. The Shape of Water was the movie. Guillermo del Toro's Oscar-winning film was inspired by the creature from the Black Lagoon. James Whale made actor Claude Rains dress from head to foot in black velvet to create the Invisible Man effect. It's Swan Lake, which is used for the opening of the Dracula, Todd Browning's Dracula. Number 5, the famous movie makeup artist who created the Karloff's Frankenstein was Jack P. Pierce. And the leader of the Money expedition who finds Imhotep's tomb is Sir Joseph Wemple. In our horror TV, we have 9 seasons of American Horror Story. The dummy was called Sid in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The City of Angels is a spin-off of Penny Dreadful. The X-Files first appeared on TV in America on September 1993. Poltergeist is the movie which Joyce gets her son Will in Stranger Things Season 1. And Carol is the character that utters the words, "Just look at the flowers," while pointing a gun at a victim. Number 5, our world cinema round. The opening of Fulci's The Beyond, it takes place in 1927. It was Michael Haneke, which made the US remake of a film starring Naomi Watts and Tim Roth. Audition was the film that had the audience walkouts in 2000, not The Ring. Trollhunter is the Norwegian 2010 mockumentary movie. Definitely check out Trollhunter. I love Trollhunter. Big fan. Number 5 is The Orphanage, which is the ghost story movie directed by J.A. Bayona. And finally, it's The River Han, which the big monster comes out on the Bong Joon-ho movie, The Host. Stephen King round. Mike Flanagan's adaptation. Carla Gugino's character is handcuffed to a bed. The cat is called Winston Churchill in Pet Sematary. Stephen King, in the Stephen King's adaptation, The Shining, Jack Torrance finds a naked woman in room 237. Turns into a very old naked woman in it. Stephen King wrote the screenplay for Quizshow, but who directed it? It was George Romero. And the body was Stand By Me. Didn't want to give that one away too much, but yes, starring Will Wheaton. And Kiefer Sutherland as well. And we've got it's Neibolt Street. It's where Pennywise resides. And your horror movie quotes. So the first one, "The devil exists," is The Conjuring. "It's not the house that's haunted, is your son," is from Insidious. "We're gonna get you, we're gonna get you," The Evil Dead. "No more rule in hell, the dead will walk the earth," Dawn of the Dead, 79. "Will not be threatened by a walking meatloaf," American Werewolf in London. And number 6, "Somebody in this camp ain't appears what he has to be." It's The Thing, 82. Carpenter. Awesome. And your final ones here. So Edward Frog wearing a headband when he first meets Sam from the Lost Boys. It's red. Thomas Hutter is the character, which was conveniently renamed after Jonathan Harker. It's a pencil stabbed into Jerry Dandridge's hand. Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah, that rings a bell, actually. You know, when you get the answer, it's like, oh, yeah, I have seen that movie. Yes, it's a pencil. 4, what animal accompanies Salma Hayek? It's a snake. Killing you would be easy. They'd rather terrify you forever. It's near dark is the tagline for that. And Lighthammer is the former UK gladiator in Blade 2. Anyways, that's it for the Big Nerd Horror Quiz. Thank you very much to the guys once again at Fright Club. Check out their website, thefrightclub.com, and their Instagram and Twitter pages for all their ups and downs and goings and toings and froings and everything like that. Thank you very much, guys, for putting an amazing quiz together. And thanks for everyone out there for watching tonight. Like, I hope you really have enjoyed it as much as I hope I presented it. Like I said, fantastic quiz. Really thoroughly enjoyed. And like I said, we've got tons more quizzes coming up, but I've decided to rejig them in somewhat. Tomorrow will be the last Big Nerd Kids quiz. I've decided to not do those anymore because it's really so much effort actually putting these together. Well, tomorrow will be the final one as we ease out of lockdown. And instead of a Wednesday quiz, it'll be on Thursday, 2nd of July. The Big Nerd Pokemon quiz written by my buddy and Pokemon expert, Paul Atkinson. There's the rest of the July lineup. And like I said, it's unbelievable that we've made it all this way to July. It's been over 3 months since I started doing the quizzes. Thank you so much for all your support. And I hope to have you joining us for some of these fantastic quizzes coming up over the next couple of weeks. Don't even know where to begin with a TV quiz. Well, how do you even start with that? But anyway, do check out my Zest FM 80s breakfast show on zestfm.co.uk. We've got an app. That's me actually driving a DeLorean. I got to drive it. The worst car I've ever driven. It's really wide and slow. It doesn't even go to 88 miles an hour. But yes, join my 80s breakfast show. Play a wide range of music, whatever you're into, from everything from metal to new romantic to rock, pop, hip-hop, funk, R&B, everything in between. It depends what mood I'm in. One morning I just played all like Metallica and Megadeth, and yep, it's just one of those things. Anyway, check that out. Zest FM as well. It's a fantastic station. Anyway, cheers so much, guys. Thank you again for all your support and for joining me tonight on tonight's Big Nerd Horror Quiz. Guys, I owe you a pint at some point if I ever head up to Ballymena, or if you're ever down in Belfast and I move back up there soon enough. Anyway, it's great to have you joining us tonight at the Big Nerd Horror Quiz. I'll see you all again for the Pokemon quiz, if that floats your boat. That's on Thursday the 2nd. Like and share with your friends. Let them know what's coming up. And like I said, the Big Nerd Pub Quiz, general knowledge quizzes, where you can win beer and t-shirts. Yes, I said that right. Beer and t-shirts. It's now every Sunday night, 8 p.m. UK Ireland time. Do check that out. Thanks once again. We'll see you all again shortly. Have a great rest of your week. And try not to get nightmares. Good night.